So on Monday, we met Cara standing in front of a room with 34 slides and no destination. Then Wednesday, we found out why this happens. But today we're taking action and moving your briefings from dysfunctional downloads to decisive leadership moments that give your influence momentum. Welcome to Unshakable Her, the podcast helping women in leadership build the influence, visibility and presence to make promotion inevitable. I'm your host, Caroline Esterson. Let's get started. 3 things for you today. 1, you're going to hear the little move that Cara does differently in her briefing the second time around. Just one thing, the one thing that changes everything else. 2, you'll get 3 practical moves you can apply to your next briefing immediately before you even open your laptop. And 3, a cheat sheet, just 1 page with 8 moves in it. It's in the show notes and I want it on your laptop lid by Monday, okay? In traditional Friday fashion, I also have a song this week. That is, of course, the context of this trilogy. It's about walking into something frightening rather than away from it. About choosing the fire over the retreat. And I think that's exactly the energy Cara brought into the second room that we're going to share with you. And I'll come back to it, so keep listening. Now, I want to go full energy into this episode, so we're starting with the playbook today. Every week, I bring you one woman from TV or film who refused to play by someone else's rules. A complex, brilliant woman navigating an impossible system and finding the move that works. And this week, we're talking about Liza Miller from Younger. Wendy, this is your girl. Liza is 40 years old. She's been out of the publishing industry for 15 years, raising her daughter, running a house, doing all, the invisible work that doesn't go on a CV. And when she tries to re-enter the publishing world, every door closes in her face. She was just too old and out of date. So she did something incredibly audacious. She lies about her age. She presents herself as 26, gets a job as an assistant at Empirical Press, and spends 7 seasons acting her way through situations she was never officially supposed to be in. Briefing senior people, covering for colleagues, representing projects that weren't really hers to own. Sound familiar? Now, Liza isn't famous for standing up and giving formal briefings. That's not the point. What she is brilliant at is outcome-led communication. Watch her in almost any meeting and you'll notice 3 things. First, she always seems to know who she's talking to. When she's speaking to Charles, she frames things one way, with Diana another, with Kelsey another again. She doesn't dump everything she knows to prove that she's done the work. She chooses the information that helps that particular person make their next decision. That's exactly what we've been talking about this week. She's starting with the audience, not herself, not the information. Second, when conversations drift into gossip, politics, personalities, or get emotional, as they often do in publishing, Liza has a knack for gently bringing everyone back to the points. What's the objective? What's best for this book? What is the decision we actually need to make? She doesn't get distracted by every interesting side conversation because she knows where she's trying to get her audience to go. And then third, and I think this is where her influence really comes from, people leave conversations with Liza knowing what happens next. She creates momentum, whether she's solving a problem with an author or helping Kelsey move a project forward, or maybe navigating yet another publishing crisis, there is always a clear next step. She turns discussions into action. That's why she's so influential. In fact, she does an awful lot of listening. You'll notice that. And what she does do is really clarify. She makes it easier for everyone else to move. And if you've been with me all week, you'll recognise what's happening. On Monday, we discovered that a briefing needs a destination. On Wednesday, we explored why our brains naturally overwhelm people with information. And Liza shows us what it looks like when someone quietly resists both of those traps. She keeps the outcome in sight, filters information through the outcome, and leaves people knowing exactly the next step. That is leadership, and it's a skill that every one of us can learn. So instead of a listener question this week, let's go back to Cara. A few weeks after the devastating Patricia Okafor moment when she reviewed Cara's briefing as a sensible overview, Cara has her own briefing to lead, not one that she inherited a few hours before, all hers. And the first thing that she does is she doesn't open her laptop. She picks up a post-it note, writes 3 questions. What do I need them to think by the end of this? What do I need them to feel? And what do I need them to do? She doesn't start building her slides until she's answered all 3. That means she ends up with 7 slides instead of 34. She cuts the entire background section down to a single slide because the room doesn't need her history. They need her conclusion. She opens with the outcome she needs, not the context that led her there. That is priming in action. And then she does something Simone never did. At the end, before she hands over, she stops. She doesn't say thank you and step back. She gives the audience 30 seconds and asks one question. Before I hand over, what's the one thing you're taking from this into your work this week? Everyone pauses. Then she gets answers, real ones, not polite ones. And what she's done is anchor the information before the next presenter can overwrite it. She's closed the loop. Outcome at the front, priming throughout, and anchoring at the close. Your 3 silver bullets, the ones that we talked about on Wednesday, all in one brief. The questions at the end are real, they're thoughtful, and they're the kind that move something forward rather than just fill the silence. And Patricia nods, very knowingly. What would Caro do? Sometimes you don't need permission, you just need better advice. So, what would Caro do? Frankly, exactly this. Not because I was naturally brilliant at briefings. I wasn't. I learnt it the hard way, standing in front of teams, not unlike the one Cara was in. Realising somewhere around slide 11 that I had no idea what I was asking anyone to do. I have tripped up literally and figuratively in briefings many, many times. And that's why it's so poignant for me. I don't want you to have the same poor experiences because no one told you. That's what I'm here for. That's what Unshakable Her is all about. The post-it notes with the outcome questions, they came later. The anchoring beat, later still. But when both arrived, it changed everything for me. So let's move on to the song. The song today is Walk Through the Fire by Zayd Wolf featuring Ruel from the official Younger soundtrack series, of course. I've chosen this track because it's all about courage. And that's what the whole trilogy has been about this week. About what happens when you stop hiding behind information. And honestly, that does take courage to step away from just the way we do things here. That, of course, would be safe because everyone's doing it. But it doesn't move you forward. That's the bit that takes the courage to do something different. And I want this song to help you gather that courage. At the start of the week, Cara thought the answer was knowing every slide. Then we discovered the science behind why our brains instinctively overload people with information. And today you've seen what real leadership looks like. And it is about having the courage to be clear. Clarity can feel exposing. It means stripping away the detail you've worked so hard to gather. It means risking the feeling that you've not said enough and trusting that one clear outcome is more powerful than 34 perfectly researched slides. That's the fire. Every leader walks through it. The temptation to add one more slide, one more explanation, one more caveat even, or one more piece of context, just in case. The leaders who create the greatest influence in these moments are the ones who walk straight through that discomfort and say, this is where we're going. This is why it matters. And this is what I need you to do next. That's why this song felt so perfect for this trilogy. Leadership is not about knowing the most. It is about having the courage to make the path clear enough for everyone else to follow. On Wednesday, I gave you the post-it framework. What do you need them to think, feel and do as a result of this briefing? That is your outcome. In one sentence, stated out loud before you touch a single slide. It might sound something like, by the end of this, I need us to have agreed X, or I'm going to walk you through Y so that you can make a call on Z today. That is your starting point, and it changes everything that follows. Because the moment you lead with outcome, you are not presenting. You're now directing, and people follow direction, whereas they tend to just endure presentations. 3 little moves to make you unshakable, small enough to start Monday, sharp enough to change everything. Now, here are 3 moves that will amplify your impact and the value you spend of every minute of your briefing. You ready? Move 1, run the so what filter. For every piece of information in your briefing, ask, so what? What does this mean to the audience? Why does it even matter to them? If you can't answer that in one sentence, it doesn't go in. Not because it's unimportant, because it's not briefing material. It might belong in, say, a pre-read or be background context for you to hold and not transmit. It doesn't belong with the audience if it can't pass the so what test. This is also how you get from 34 slides to 7. Move 2, create clarity without calling anyone out. Sometimes you're going to find yourself sitting in a briefing that leaves everyone wondering what happens next. If you're the presenter, you can fix it yourself, saying something like, just to be clear, the one thing I need everyone to leave with today is, that's an instant reset. Or, as you feel people drifting, prime a question so their brain shifts from receiving to processing. It might sound something like, before we move on, what does this mean for you right now? Or, the 3 key things I've shared are XYZ. How do you think this will affect your role or relationships? Now, if you're in the audience, especially with someone more senior, you don't need to critique their briefing. You can help the room instead. Try saying something like, just so we're all aligned, what's the key decision you'd like us to make today? Or, before we wrap up, could we summarise the actions and owners? Those questions don't challenge the presenter, they help them, and that is influence. And move 3, close the loop before you hand over. Now, this is the move most presenters never make, and it's the one that makes everything else stick. You've opened with the outcome, you've filtered everything through it, and then 30 seconds before you hand over, you stop. You don't say thank you and step back, you anchor it. Ask the room one question. What is the one thing you're taking from this? Or, given what we've just covered, what does that mean for your next steps? You're not asking for a show of hands or a full debrief. You're giving the brains a moment to do something with what it just received, to move it from working memory into something it can actually keep. Without that beat, the next presenter doesn't add to what you've built, they overwrite it. And 30 seconds, that's all it takes. It's the difference between a briefing that lands and one that just evaporates before the coffee goes cold. So let's recap. Here's the headline of actions across all 3 episodes this week. The so what filter is the thing that actually builds your influence, because when you show up with 7 purposeful slides instead of 34, people notice. Not the number, the intention behind it. That's what influence looks like in a briefing room. Creating clarity without calling anyone out is the promotion move. The person who can name what's going wrong in a meeting and offer a fix in 3 sentences isn't a troublemaker. They are a leader. Patricia notices these people. JP eventually notices these people too. Yeah, even JP. And then closing the loop before you hand over is the move that completes the system. Outcome opens the channel, priming directs attention, and anchoring closes the loop. All 3 silver bullets we discussed on Wednesday working together. And I promised you a cheat sheet. It's in the show notes, 1 page, 8 moves, every one of them with the science behind it. So you know not just what to do, but why it works. Print it, screenshot it, stick it on your laptop lid. It's going to save you more than one Patricia watching from the background moment. I guarantee it. So 3 things I promised you today. What Cara did differently. She wrote the 3 questions on a post-it note before she touched a slide. 3 practical moves. Run the so what filter. Create clarity, even if it's not your meeting, and close the loop before you hand over. You can use all 3 in your next briefing. And the cheat sheet, it's in your show notes. Go grab it. So just to recap, Cara went into that second room with her own brief, her own outcome, her own post-it notes with the 3 questions. Not Simone's slides, hers, 7 of them. She knew exactly what she needed the room to do when she was done, and she made sure the room knew it too, right up until the moment she handed over. It's not a big move, it's a tiny one, but it's the move that changes everything that happens after you sit back down. Know what you want, say it first, close the loop at the end. Go get 'em, Tiger. Now, let's focus forward instead of back. Next week, Cara's figured some things out. She knows how to walk into a room now. She knows what she wants people to leave with. She's getting much better at this, and nobody above her has noticed yet. Not JP, not Patricia, nobody. Next week on Unshakable Her, it's all about what to do when you're doing everything right and the right people are still looking straight through you. So that's it from me this week. Before you go, if something this week made you nod, laugh, or think, finally someone said it, leave a rating wherever you're listening. Just a couple of taps, that's all it takes. And it helps other women just like you who are spiraling and searching for help to find this show. I'm Caroline Esterson. You came here for career advice, but what you're really building, week by week, move by move, is someone no one can shake. See you Monday.